my name is Tony. I feel I'm in danger of overusing the term masterpiece. That maybe I'm too free with it, and it concerns me not much but a bit that overuse may diminish the meaning of the descriptor. Should it become more commonplace, it risks being seen as something applied out of laziness, an arbitrary thing rather than genuine considered appraisal. I mean, how many works of art deserving of the term masterpiece can there be out there? Pretty soon it starts to look like everything is a masterpiece, and that can't be right. Well, anyway, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do it again, because if the cap fits, then you sorta gotta wear it, yeah? The Laughing Policeman is director Stuart J. Rosenberg's masterpiece. I'm not being deliberately contentious or provocative when I say that, knowing many would preferably cite Cool Hand Luke or the Pope of Greenwich Village in its place. It's just that in the arena of genre-defining 70s cop movies, The Laughing Policeman is as much a steel-plated iconoclast as Dirty Harry. The title is deliberately erroneous, ironic, ruthlessly cynical. Anyone seeing Matthau's name and expecting a comedy is buying a ticket on the wrong bus, and you don't want to do that, trust me. What you will get is something awesomely dark, corrosively bleak, and acridly melancholic. A police procedural with a semi-documentary feel, a scalpel-sharp eye for unsparing detail, and a largely humorless excursion into the dark hearts of men. Anyone expecting The Odd Couple reimagined as a feel-good buddy-buddy flick best think again. It ain't that. This is Hollywood hardcore. Acid raindrops are falling on my head sort of thing. In a San Francisco bus terminal, Dave Evans, Anthony Costello, is sat on a bench observing another man, Gus Niles, Louis Gus. Niles is twitchy, sweating, chaining candy bars down his neck, a junkie then. Niles enters a phone booth and makes a call. When the recipient picks up the other end, Niles says, "It's working." Evans follows Niles onto a bus. After a few stops, a car pulls in front of the bus and a man carrying a holdall gets out. He abandons his car and gets on board, sitting at the back. Unseen, he takes the component parts of a machine gun out of the holdall and assembles them. When he stands up, Niles leaps from his seat and turns and shouts, "Wait a second, not yet." In one of the most shocking and punishing lead-ins to any movie ever, the man opens fire, spraying the interior of the bus, slaughtering the passengers and the driver. In a gore-drenched scene of visceral bloody mayhem. Everyone, including Evans and Niles, is seemingly killed. The bus crashes, the unidentified gunman disembarks and disappears into the night. A team of homicide detectives, including Jake Martin, Walter Matthau, Leo Larson, Bruce Dern, and James Larimore, Louis Gossett Jr., arrive at the scene. Combing the carnage, examining bodies, and accumulating clues and evidence, it takes a little while before Jake realizes that one of the victims is his cop partner, Dave Evans. Evans was supposed to be on sick leave, so it begs the question, what the hell was he doing on a night bus that got shot up by an unknown mass murderer with a machine gun? Police Lieutenant Steiner, Anthony Zerb, partners Jake and Larson, and it's an uneasy fit. Clues to Evans' activities reside in the contents of his wallet. There are pornographic pictures of Evans' vulnerable and distraught girlfriend Kay, Kathy Lee Crosby, and a photograph of a Teresa Camarero. Camarero was a murder victim who was into some deviant hardcore sexual shit. The case was one of Jake's and it went cold 2 years previously. Jake strongly felt Camarero's businessman husband Henry Albert Paulson was the perpetrator, but he had a cast iron alibi at the time which couldn't be broken. There were no other suspects. Jake had previously discussed the case in detail with Evans and how it continued to bug him. Gradually, despite protestations and a lack of support from Steiner, Jake begins to theorize links between the bus massacre and the Camarero case. He and Larson fall into something of a rhythm in their working relationship, and Jake convinces him to run surveillance on Henry Camarero. They discover he's frequenting gay and transvestite bars and hangouts, but reason that being a closet homosexual isn't enough of a motive for wiping out a busload of people. There must be something else, something more. After finding Niles' girlfriend naked and dead of an overdose in her apartment, it comes to light that Niles was Camarero's alibi for his wife's murder. He was operating under a different name back then. Seems that Evans had discovered this and was about to confront Niles and thus obliterate Camarero's bogus alibi, putting him bang in the frame. The bus massacre was a smokescreen hiding the only two intended targets, Evans and Niles. Everyone else was just collateral damage. Despite being ordered to back off by Steiner, Jake and Larson persist. Jake visits Camarero's office and deliberately lets the man see him. Spooked into action and still armed with his machine gun, pursued across town in an energetic car chase, Camarero boards another bus as Jake follows him. He's desperate. He reassembles his gun. This is not going to end well, folks. Although he became associated mostly with comedy before he teamed up with the likes of Jack Lemmon, Billy Wilder and Neil Simon, Walter Matthau was an accomplished character actor. He knew it too. He had cause to advise the stroppy and demanding diva beaver Barbara Streisand on the set of the disastrous Hello Dolly, "Don't forget, you're the singer, I'm the actor." In the early 70s, he made 3 top-flight dramatic action thrillers: Don Siegel's Charley Varrick, The Laughing Policeman, and Joseph Sargent's The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. His performance as Jake Martin in The Laughing Policeman is his most complex and intricately composed screen work. Jake is like a brooding black hole at the center of the investigation. Morose, self-isolating, closed off, he cuts people down and out in conversation and has little time for anything other than his own thoughts and instincts. He's an inward-dwelling nightmare. At home, Jake is loop-frozen in a loveless marriage with 2 teenage kids to whom he cannot or doesn't want to relate. He demonstrates some passing affection to his daughter, but he and his son don't communicate on any level. When he finds the 15-year-old boy is staying out late to watch a live sex show of a woman masturbating on stage, he waits up until the kid gets home, probably thinking to confront him, then decides not to address it, retreats into apathy, simply lets it go, rather than face interacting with the fucking kid. His wife seems vague and tranquilized. Their relationship consists of trading platitudes of the "how is your day" type when they are both terminally detached and disinterested. After he has told her of Evan's murder, his wife attributes his shut down and contemplative demeanor to the onset of a head cold. "I'm not coming down with a cold, my partner was just shot to death." The lack of thoughtful insight is even startling to Jake, if only briefly. She asks if he wants anything to eat, he never does, and notes that a button on his coat is loose and offers to fix it. Jake just stares at the button like he's seeing it for the first time. He's a man out of step, displaced in time, a ghost in his own hollow domestic ennui. He habitually sleeps on the couch through choice. The home and garden are monuments to neglect, rusting barbecue, cracked patio, weeds and overgrown grass, abandoned to stagnation like the malfunctioning relationships and family dynamics at play. Jake lives only for the job, and even that is mainly a source of perpetual irritation and resigned acceptance. When a theatre hooker throws the oft-used 70s police beta of pig at him, Jake just pauses, then shrugs offhandedly and moves on. Ah, so what? It is what it is. This is Matthau at his most downbeat, taciturn, unresponsive and emotionally repressed. Yet beneath it all still lives and breathes the vital spirit and keen intellect of a born detective, an investigator with sharp forensic skills and a laser insight that can cut through the bullshit to the truth given half a chance. If he corrects his past failure, will it redeem him? Probably not, but it is a ghost that haunts him and one he is determined to exorcise. All the while he chews gum, masticating frantically, whilst an eternally unlit cigarette dangles impotently from his sour lips. Matthau is simply fucking tremendous. He insisted that Bruce Dern be given equal above the title billing, a rare kindness from a major star that Dern never forgot. His Leo Larson is what Jake might have been like before the years burned down and the rot set in. He's humorous with some killer one-liners and quips, opinionated, arrogant and impetuous. He trots out theories with wild abandon. The gradual growing empathy between the men is an authentic, organic process that the 2 actors handle perfectly. Their journey to mutual compatibility mirrored in a scene that reminds of the old Laurel and Hardy comedy classic short The Piano. Jake and Larson climb an almost endless flight of steps to get to the home of Niall's girlfriend. They stop out of breath, Larson hoping it isn't much further. Jake just gestures silently at a door. They've arrived. Together. Amen. Even if the chick is naked, dead, with a needle in her arm. The supporting cast reads like a who's who of younger and older 70s Hollywood character actors. Louis Gossett at his super coolest, Anthony Zerbe, Paul Koslow as yet another creepy sleazebag, only this time he doesn't get to die, Clifton James, Gregory Sierra, and Be Still My Beating Heart, Joanna Cassidy as a nurse. She's the roommate of one of the victims on the bus, interviewed by Larson, who hooks up with her. Joanna Cassidy was so gorgeous in everything she appeared in, her brief appearance is a great added bonus, along with something else that sounds like bonus but isn't. She's a great added one of those as well. Oh, the sexism. Always with the sexism. For your money, you get some compelling action set pieces. The massacre on the bus is one of the most violently kinetic and graphic depictions of mass murder ever filmed. How prescient it must appear nowadays, where it seems day on day the news reports on yet another mass shooting stateside. The cleanup when the emergency services arrive is filmed in lingering, fascinating detail as the bodies are searched and removed. There is one survivor, an elderly gent who clearly isn't going to make it. The scenes in the hospital operating theatre as the surgical team struggle to save him echo with the stark realism and close-up characteristics of a fly-on-the-wall reality TV healthcare documentary. There's a hostage siege which derails the investigation momentarily. The shooter is suspected to be the bus murder perpetrator. It ends when a middle-aged lady tries to escape through a window and falls to her death, and armed police storm the building, taking the gunman down with grenades of tear gas and a hail of bullets, only to find he's a veteran with a prosthetic leg, which might make hopping on and off a bus something of a problem. Lieutenant Steiner's response to the revelation that he probably isn't the guy he'll do for now. San Francisco was a counterculture melting pot in a state of perpetual transition. The film captures the seamy, sleazy stuff, lots of XXX-rated sex porn venues, pimps and prostitutes hanging out, as well as representing the vibrant gay community, plus cute added asides like transvestites with moustaches and 300-pound nude female models posing for alternative artists to capture them Warhol-like. What's interesting is the attitude of the police, who don't seem surprised or particularly judgmental, like all this stuff isn't just threatening to become the norm, it's already normalized. As Jake and Larson conclude, being a closet homosexual is hardly a motive for mass murder. It's nothing special or extraordinary these days. Yeah, and this is 1973, you know. If it wasn't such a big deal then, why would it be 50 years later in the here and now? Food for thought, perhaps. Rosenberg's direction is brisk, sharp, and centered on the relevant details throughout. He portrays events with unflinching honesty through the prism of a city and a police force navigating a fugue of criminality, paranoia, amorality, and grinding urban decay. He's more than competently aided and abetted by Thomas Rickman's poetically edgy script and cinematographer David M. Walsh's beautifully deglamorized lens work. It drew criticism for apparently daring to be different to all those other cop films out there, but doing the same things: shootouts, car chases, red herrings, blind alleys, narrative convolutions. But it is different, and it does do things differently. The main characters are not immediately likable, honorable, savior, hero stereotypes. They are humanly flawed and emotionally fucked up. It's only as their character arcs progress and evolve over time that they become understandable and relatable. Initially, Dern is easily written off as a prejudiced jerk. Moving on, it becomes clear it's just an adopted attitude. His flippancy and ill-judged humour are defence mechanisms, not representative of what he really thinks or believes. And anyway, Joanna Cassidy isn't going to go out with just any old Yahoo pig. One of the best scenes in the film is an argument between Matthau and Dern in the precinct parking garage. It's a shouting match in which Matthau is desperately trying to bring Dern on board with his theory about the link between the Camarero murder and the bus slaughter. It suddenly becomes apparent just how much Matthau blames himself for the death of his partner, and how much he is eaten up by his failure to close the Camarero case. How human he is, how exposed, how desperate. Both actors are superb, at the top of their game, and they excel in this powerful two-hander. Fucking class work. The ending is also conclusive, satisfying, and positive. You don't think it's going to be, but it is. Fittingly enough, after what we've all been through, put me off getting on a fucking bus, I can tell you. Fuck patronising public transport. So I'm going to recommend it if you haven't seen it, and if you have seen it but didn't like it, then whatever I say won't change that, which is as it should be. From my perspective, it has masterpiece written all over it. Interested to know your thoughts. Thank you. I'm truly grateful for your time and attention. Do whatever you want to do next. Hit like, don't like, comment, subscribe, be a patron of my Patreon thing, make a welcome financial contribution via the thanks button. I shall return with something else in due course. Take it easy till we meet again, pilgrims.